The unforgettable disappearance of Lila Maren, Florence, Oregon, 2016. On a windswept evening in late October 2016, 22-year-old Lila Maren stepped into the fading light of the Oregon coast and vanished. There was no vehicle, witnesses, or explanation. If you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button and sit tight as we dive into the disappearance of Lila Maren. Nestled between towering evergreens and an endless gray ocean, Florence, Oregon, is a town where strangers are noticed and silence carries a presence all its own. Tourists come and go to see lions in the dunes, but the locals know it as a place where stories linger. By Halloween that year, one story will haunt the coastal town indefinitely: the sudden and unexplained disappearance of a young woman who seemed to have every reason to stay. Lila Maren was last seen at approximately 6:17 p.m. on October 28, 2016, walking alone near the Sutton Creek Recreation Area 3 miles north of town. According to archived surveillance footage from a nearby campground gate cam, she wore a forest green parka, jeans, and scuffed white Converse sneakers. She wasn't carrying a bag, and her cell phone was never turned on again after 6:23 p.m. She was 22, bright, self-contained, thoughtful, a photography student at the University of Oregon in Eugene. Lila had come to Florence for what she described to her roommate as a quiet weekend to think and shoot film. She had rented a small Airbnb, a converted garage studio tucked at the forest's edge. The owner remembered her as polite but withdrawn, someone who kept to herself. She had these eyes, he later said in a statement, always scanning. Not nervous, exactly, but like she was waiting for something to happen. The last known days. Lila arrived on Thursday afternoon, October 27th. She checked in without incident. No one came with her, and no one visited. Her car, a pale blue 2003 Honda Civic, was found locked and parked neatly in the gravel driveway of the rental. Inside, investigators found her camera bag and gear organized on the bed. A journal was opened to a page dated the same morning she disappeared. The entry was brief. The wind's different here. Everything feels louder. I can't decide if it's comforting or trying to tell me something. There are no signs of struggle, no drugs, no alcohol, nothing to suggest a plan to leave. Her phone records were equally baffling. A single outgoing call was placed to her mother, but it never connected. According to the carrier logs, the message failed due to poor reception. There were no texts or app usage beyond that. Forensics confirmed the phone remained in Florence until it stopped transmitting entirely. Somewhere near the mouth of Sutton Creek. Area search and immediate response. Her family grew concerned when Lila missed a scheduled call with her sister the next day. By Saturday morning, October 29th, her parents contacted the Florence Police Department. Officer Dana Hughes conducted a welfare check at 10:42 a.m., finding the car and all her belongings still in place. Hughes initiated a missing persons report, FPD case number 16-4487 LM. By Sunday, the Lane County Sheriff's Search and Rescue had mobilized. Teams scoured the area, focusing on the dense trails and waterways near Sutton Creek. Cadaver dogs, aerial drones, and even sonar mapping of the nearby estuary were deployed. The terrain was challenging. Thick brush, sudden drop-offs, and fluctuating tides made the effort slow and dangerous. Despite the intense search that lasted nearly 9 days, no definitive trace of Lila was found. There were no shoe prints, broken branches, clothing, or scent trails. It was as if she had stepped off the path and dissolved into the trees. The setting, Sutton Creek. Locals know Sutton Creek as both beautiful and unforgiving. The winding stream flows through Sitka spruce forests and under old timber bridges before feeding into the Pacific. In October, the area is known for its moody weather. Cold rains, thick fog, and winds that howl through the canopy like whispers from another world. Old logging trails crisscross the forest, some of them long overgrown. It's easy to get turned around there. But Lila wasn't inexperienced. She'd hiked before. Her social media was filled with solo excursions into remote places, caves, canyons, coastlines. And yet, she left behind no sign. According to SAR logbooks, the dog showed brief interest near an old fish cleaning station by the creek, but the trail ended abruptly at a patch of moss-covered stone. Forensic teams later tested the area. There was no blood, No fibers and no sign of struggle. Rumors and theories. By mid-November, the case had gone cold. That's when the rumors began. A few residents claimed they saw a figure matching Lila's description walking alone down Highway 101 late that Friday night. Others reported strange lights in the forest. Flashlights, maybe, but no one confirmed who or what was out there. One man, a retired logger named Carl Deaton, told police he heard a woman screaming in the woods around 3 a.m. on October 29th. When pressed for details, he admitted he was drinking and didn't call it in at the time. Could have been a coyote, he said. Could have been something else. Online forums speculated wildly. Everything from human trafficking to cult activity to her simply walking into the ocean. However, the investigators kept their approach methodical and restrained. We followed every lead. Detective Sarah Belcher of the Lane County Major Crimes Team stated during a 2018 press conference, "Nothing stuck. It's as if she ceased to exist at the creek's edge." Belcher was among the few officials who had publicly spoken about the case. Over the years, her comments remained consistent. No credible suspects, no known threats in Lila's life, no digital footprint suggesting premeditation or foul play. Who was Lila Maren? Lila was born in Spokane, Washington. She was artistic and introspective, the second of 3 children, and known for her quiet but deep presence. Her high school art teacher once said, "Lila didn't speak much in class, but when she did, you listened." Friends describe her as empathetic, but prone to long stretches of silence. She had battled depression in the past, though her family insisted she was in a good place mentally at the time of her disappearance. She had recently broken up with her longtime boyfriend, but had told friends she wasn't upset. If anything, she was focused, planning a solo gallery show, finishing her senior project, and spending time in places that inspired her. Florence, she had said, was one of them. But as weeks turned into months, nothing new surfaced. No eyewitnesses, no tips that led anywhere. The FBI briefly consulted on the case in early 2017 due to proximity of federal land, but ultimately determined there was insufficient evidence to suggest a federal crime. The journal pages. 2 additional journal entries were recovered from Lila's belongings. Both are dated and written in her neat, looping handwriting. October 27th, 11:19 p.m. The trees make a sound I've never heard before, almost like breath. I know that sounds strange, but it's the only word I can find. The breath of the forest. October 28th, 2:06 p.m. And no one on the trail, just me and the fog. Snapped 3 rolls of film. But I don't remember taking one of the shots. Images of the back of my head, like someone was behind me. No one else was there. I'm sure of it. Police developed the film. The shot she mentioned was indeed among the negatives, blurred, grainy, and oddly framed. The figure in the foreground does resemble Lila, but experts could not determine whether it was a self-timer misfire or something else. Years later, by 2020, most of the physical evidence in the case had been boxed and archived. The official status remains missing suspicious circumstances. A small wooden memorial sits along the trail near Sutton Creek, left by Lila's sister the following spring. It reads simply, Lila Maren, 1994 to 2016. Still walking, still searching. To this day, the disappearance of Lila Maren remains one of the most haunting unsolved cases on the Oregon coast. Nobody has ever been found. No suspects have ever been named. And perhaps most unsettling of all, no theory, no matter how far-fetched or logical, has ever been able to explain how a young woman could vanish completely from a public trail in less than an hour of daylight left, leaving behind only silence and questions. Friday, October 28, 2016, the last known day. The day Lila Maren vanished began, by most accounts, unremarkably. Weather logs for Florence area recorded a brisk 52 degrees at sunrise, with a thick marine layer blanketing the coast in fog, until well past mid-morning. Visibility was low. Damp air clung to the trees. It was a typical late October morning on the Oregon coast, a setting that would soon become the backdrop to one of Lane County's most enduring mysteries. 7:42 a.m., a quiet start. The earliest confirmed activity came from the smart lock system installed in the Airbnb unit. The door was open at 7:42 a.m., likely when she stepped out for the day. Her belongings were later found undisturbed. A wallet in the bedside drawer, a packed and organized camera bag on the bed, and a partially eaten granola bar on the kitchenette counter. Lila didn't leave any indication of plans, but a message sent the previous night to her roommate, Ivy Chandler, provides a sliver of insight. Hitting the trail early. It's beautiful. It's here. Want to finish the last roll of film before noon. 8:15 a.m., gas station sighting. Surveillance footage places Lila at the Shell station on Highway 101, just north of Florence at 8:15 a.m. She paid $18.46 in cash for a water bottle, 2 energy bars, and a disposable poncho. The cashier, Monica Alvarez, later recalled her distinctly. She was polite but distracted. She stared out the window a lot while I was ringing her up. Seemed like she was waiting for someone, or maybe just thinking real hard. This was the last confirmed sighting of Lila by a public member. 9:02 a.m., trail camera activity. A motion-activated trail camera installed by the U.S. Forest Service at the Sutton Creek Recreation Area entrance recorded a figure believed to be Lila entering the trail system. The camera captured a partial side profile, slim build, forest green jacket, white shoes, dark ponytail. Based on frame time and subsequent image analysis, authorities confirmed it was consistent with her clothing and stature. She carried no visible backpack. 10:41 a.m., possible witness encounter. A 49-year-old Dale Kinney jogger told investigators he saw a woman matching Lila's description on the Sutton Ridge Trail. In his statement, recorded under FPD file supplement 16-4487, 07. He described her as standing on the trail just off to the left, looking into the trees. Didn't did anything. She just stared, like she was listening to something. He thought it was odd, but chalked it up to someone taking a photo, even though no camera was in sight. 11:32 a.m., final digital footprint. At 11:32 a.m., Lila's phone received a weak signal ping to a tower northeast of Florence, registering near the dunes between Sutton Creek and Mercer Lake Road. No outgoing calls or messages were recorded. The signal dropped off at 11:34 a.m. and never returned. This was the last known digital trace of Lila Maren. 1 to 6 p.m., silence. From midday onward, no verifiable sightings or contact occurred. Due to worsening weather, local Ranger Patrol logs show no other hikers in the trail system after 1:30 p.m. A light rain began around 2 p.m., which intensified as the day progressed. By 5 p.m., heavy fog and intermittent showers had rendered most of the upper trails impassable. Her Airbnb host reported seeing the porch light on at 6:20 p.m., but did not see Lila return. She never came back. The discovery and response. Saturday, October 29, 2016, first reported missing. By mid-morning Saturday, concern began to spread among those who knew her. Lila had scheduled a FaceTime call with her sister, Mari, for 9 a.m. It went unanswered. Multiple follow-up texts received no response. Mari contacted Lila's roommate, Ivy, who hadn't heard from her since Thursday night. After several attempts to contact Lila directly, they called the Florence Police Department. 10:42 a.m., Officer Dana Hughes conducted a welfare check at the Airbnb. Lila's Honda Civic, was still locked in the gravel driveway. Keys were found inside the studio. Her belongings were untouched. Nothing appeared missing except Lila. A missing person report was filed immediately. The case was assigned as FPD 16-4487 LM and flagged with a priority level 1, active endangerment classification, due to remote setting and lack of contact. Sunday, October 30th. Full search initiated. Search and rescue was mobilized by the Lane County Sheriff's Office by 7 a.m. Over the next 48 hours, multiple agencies participated, including Oregon State Police, Florence Police Department, Lane County SAR, U.S. Forest Service law enforcement. More than 60 personnel participated, with drone support, K9 units, and thermal imaging. The search grid extended 3 miles north and east of the Sutton Creek area, including swampy marshland and dense Sitka forest. Nothing was found, physical evidence, or lack thereof. The investigation produced a baffling absence of concrete clues. Among the notable findings or omissions were car. It was found locked at the Airbnb. The fuel tank is half full. There is no damage or tampering. The keys and wallet are inside. Phone. It has never been recovered. The last ping was recorded just east of the creek system. Weather and terrain likely rendered it inoperable or unrecoverable. Camera. Still inside the rental. Film undeveloped. Clothing. No articles ever recovered. Footprints. Initial rain obscured the trail conditions. No identifiable prints were located, even in muddy zones. Scents. Cadaver dogs hit briefly on an area near a creek bend but lost the trail within minutes. Family reaction. On November 1st, Lila's parents, Teresa and Daniel Maren, arrived in Florence and held a public vigil near the Sutton Creek Trailhead. Their emotions were raw but composed. Speaking to a local reporter, Teresa said, "Our daughter is not someone who would just disappear. She's not impulsive. She didn't run. Something happened here, and we're not leaving until we find out what." Her sister Mari distributed over 500 missing person flyers across Florence, Eugene, and the greater Coastal Highway corridor. Media and public scrutiny. The case was picked up by regional news outlets within the week. KVL and the Register Guard covered it extensively. A brief CNN headline on November 3rd brought national attention. Social media amplified the mystery, spawning a Reddit thread with over 2,000 comments and multiple speculative podcasts. Some theorized she encountered a transient or predator in the woods. Others leaned toward accident or disorientation. A few believed she staged her disappearance, a notion the family rejected. By December, media coverage had cooled, but the mystery only deepened for Marens in the small town of Florence. Red herrings and misleads. Red herring 1, the man with the yellow backpack. On November 4th, a witness reported seeing a man in his late 40s with a yellow backpack walking along the service road behind the Sutton Creek Trail system. When stopped by deputies, he identified himself as Roger Tills, a hiker and amateur botanist from Bend. He had been collecting mushroom samples and had no idea someone was missing. His GPS logs confirmed his movements, and he was cleared. Red herring 2, anonymous tip from Reedsport. On November 10th, a call came into the Lane County tip line. The female caller claimed she had seen a girl matching Lila's description at a gas station in Reedsport, roughly 50 miles south. The clerk reviewed surveillance footage. No such individual appeared. The caller never followed up, and attempts to trace the call were unsuccessful. Whispers and rumors. Locals began to speculate. Whispers of strange happenings in the forest circulated. Stories of the Watcher, a coastal legend dating back to logging camps in the 1920s. Nothing verifiable, just folklore. However, one claim came from Eleanor Gibbs, who lived less than a mile from Sutton Creek. She told detectives she had heard soft singing near the on October 28th th. She assumed it was teens, but only later did she wonder. It wasn't words, just a melody. I almost opened the door, but I got this chill, this feeling not to. Authorities never located any individuals who might have been in the area that night. Open case, lingering questions. By early 2017, the search was scaled back. Nobody, no suspects, No physical confrontation evident. The file remained open but stagnant. A summary statement from Detective Sarah Beltran, filed January 8, 2017 reads, subject appears to have left on foot. Area terrain and environment it and posted on a local forum, not realizing its potential relevance. The fabric was gone when authorities reached the site days later. In the years since Lila Maren vanished without a trace from the foggy woods of Sutton Creek Recreation Area, investigators, family members, amateur sleuths, and even psychics have pored over every known detail. Her disappearance on October 28, 2016, remains one of the most haunting unsolved cases along Oregon's coastal corridor. No screams were heard, no struggle was witnessed, and no credible sightings were reported after 11:32 a.m. And perhaps most chilling of all, there was no body. Today, nearly a decade later, we are looking not for a resolution, but for possibilities. Here are the theories that have emerged over time. Each is grounded in facts, yet wrapped in uncertainty. Each has its believers and its skeptics. What happened to Lila Maren? Theory 1. Abduction by an unknown party. Summary. Lila may have encountered someone on the trail who lured, forced, or otherwise coerced her into leaving the area. If so, the abductor was methodical, left no physical trace, and knew the terrain well enough to disappear without detection. Supporting details. 1. Timeline vulnerabilities. The Sutton Ridge Trail network isn't far from Highway 101, and several service roads lead discreetly through the forest. A perpetrator familiar with the area could have accessed a trail through an unofficial entrance to stalk or lie in wait. Lila was seen on a trail camera at 9:02 a.m. The last phone ping was at 11:32 a.m., so there's a 150-minute gap. Plenty of time for anything. 2. The phone ping. The last known signal from Lila's phone originated near utility corridor close to Mercer Lake Road. That area borders private land and has spotty coverage. Investigators suspect she was still mobile at that point. But what's troubling is a sudden and permanent loss of signal. A forced power down? A destroyed device? Or something more deliberate? 3. The man with the yellow backpack. Though law enforcement has cleared Roger Tills, the man was spotted near the Sutton Trail access road, and some still question him. He had no criminal record, and an alibi supported by GPS data. But as many point out, GPS logs can be faked, and his stated reason for hiking, mushroom foraging, was never corroborated with physical samples. More notably, the yellow backpack was never examined. He left town the next morning. 4. Witness discrepancy. Dale Kinney, the jogger who passed Lila, described her as standing still, off-trail, staring into the trees. What or who was she looking at? A second presence could have been hidden, watching. The stillness might have been fear or decision. Challenges to the theory. No signs of struggle. Other hikers heard no screams or calls. No forensic evidence suggests violence or transport. No ransom demand, financial motive, or communication. Still, the absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. A clean abduction, particularly by someone who knows how to move through nature, can occur in minutes. This theory remains the Lane County Sheriff's Office's official leading possibility. Theory 2, a voluntary disappearance. Summary. Could Lila have chosen to disappear? A calculated exit from her life. An escape board of emotional turmoil, personal secrets, or psychological distress. Supporting details. 1. Recent behavioral changes. According to her roommate, Ivy Chandler, Lila had grown distant in the months leading up to her trip. She withdrew from group outings, stopped attending the campus photography club, and became increasingly interested in solitude and transcendental spaces. Her final journal entries, unpublished but shared in part by her sister, were cryptic. What if I just let go of all of it? The noise, the people, the wait. Is there freedom in stillness? This, some argue, reads less like wanderlust and more like farewell. 2. No signs of struggle. Everything in the Airbnb was tidy. Her camera gear was packed. She brought minimal items on her hike, suggesting premeditated travel lightness. And she carried no backpack. If she planned to vanish, she may have hidden essentials, money, ID, clothes. Or perhaps she had a contact waiting for her off trail. 3. The phone dropped. A signal cut at 11:32 a.m. could be symbolic, a final severing of connection. Many who choose to disappear do so in remote regions, timing phone disconnection to hinder tracking, a known tactic, particularly among those familiar with nature or actual crime cases. Challenges to the theory. No financial activity after October 27th. No confirmed sightings anywhere. No trace of travel under her name. No communications with family or friends. Highly uncharacteristic. Her parents remain adamant. Lila was not the type to walk away. She had plans for a senior exhibition and future aspirations. And above all, they say, she would never inflict such pain on her family. Still, many disappearances, especially among young adults, have later been found to be voluntary, driven by mental health issues, personal identity crises, or overwhelming life pressures. Was Lila seeking freedom or simply a new name? Theory 3. Misadventure or natural causes. Summary. The Oregon coast is known for its treacherous wilderness. Misty trails, hidden ravines, sudden weather shifts, and fragile footing all pose danger, even to experienced hikers. Could Lila have slipped, fallen, or succumbed to hypothermia? Her body hidden beneath thick underbrush or swept into a creek. Supporting details. 1. Weather and terrain. On October 28th, by mid-afternoon, there had been increasing rainfall, making the moss-covered trails slick. Sutton Creek swells during rain, and ravines are common. It's plausible that Lila lost her footing, fell into a secluded area, and was covered by foliage or forest debris. K-9 units hit briefly near the edge of a stream. The scent was lost after 15 minutes. The following year, that same area was subject to landslide warnings. Could she have been buried naturally? 2. The high cloth scrap. The piece of green fabric found tangled 20 feet up in 2021 sparked new questions, though never recovered. The hiker's photograph resembles Lila's jacket. If it was hers, it suggests she may have fallen or tried to climb into an unstable embankment. No other clothing or remains were found nearby, but terrain shifts and weather can easily obscure human remains. 3. No predators detected. Unlike in some regions, large predators, bears, mountain lions, rarely exist in Sutton Creek's heavily trafficked trail zones. But natural hazards still abound. Sudden creek currents, unstable cliffs, hypothermia, and even sudden cardiac events. Could Lila have wandered off the path, found herself lost or injured, and perished quietly among the trees? Challenges to the theory. Extensive SAR effort yielded no remains, no broken foliage, blood, or torn clothing. Lila was in good health, athletic, and familiar with light hiking. Yet, as many search and rescue veterans know, the forest does not give up secrets easily. Theory 4. Friend, something else was out there. Summary. There's one final theory, one whispered by those who look not just to facts but to folklore. Sutton Creek has long been known among the local Yachits and Siuslaw communities. Strange lights, disappearing campers, animal behavior gone quiet. Something watchers call the quiet zone. Some believe Lila didn't encounter a person but something older, something that lives just past the edge of the trail. 1. The singing heard by Eleanor Gibbs. It wasn't words, Eleanor said. It was like a lullaby, soft, repeating. I thought about walking out there, but something in me said not to. She lived near the trail for 27 years and claims that was the first time she ever heard anything like it. 2. Lila's journal entries. One particularly haunting excerpt reads, I saw something in the trees this morning, a shape, tall, still, not quite human. I blinked and it was gone. Maybe it was just my mind, or maybe it wasn't. This passage was written 3 days before her disappearance. 3. Folklore of the Coastal Watcher. Local legend speaks of a forest spirit that guards the land, a shadow that mimics voices, lures wanderers off trail, and erases its tracks. Of course, none of this is provable. It's a myth, campfire talk. But when real people vanish in unexplained ways, some look beyond the rational. Challenges to the theory. No physical evidence supports supernatural elements. Witness statements are inconsistent and subjective. Law enforcement disregards this theory entirely. However, some insist that Lila's case is not a crime or a tragedy. It's a crossing into a place from which few return. Theories still evolving. Over the years, various other theories have flickered and died out. That a cult took her. She discovered something she wasn't supposed to while photographing. She said that she had a secret lover who helped her escape. She suffered an undiagnosed mental health crisis that caused her to flee. None of these ideas has been proven. None have been wholly debunked. As of 2025, Lila Maren remains listed in the National Missing and Unidentified Person System, NAMAS MP 48791. Her photo still hangs in the Florence PD lobby. Her name is etched on the Hope Stone installed at Sutton Creek's entrance in 2020, part of a local initiative for the missing. Every October, her family returns to the same spot. They place a shite flower beside the marker where she was last seen. Final thoughts. Lila Maren's story is not just about what was lost. It's about how silence can echo louder than sound, how a person can vanish in daylight, surrounded by trees, leaving behind nothing but questions. Her case, like so many others, is a haunting reminder of the fragility of certainty. One moment, she was here, and then she wasn't. So, what do you think happened to Lila Maren? Was it a tragic accident or something far more sinister? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel for more content relating to horrors and missing cases.